Okay, all right. Good evening again. So today we want to consider project resource management. Project resource management. Okay, project resource management. Yes, Mr. Joe. So let's look at it. What do you think is resources? When we mention the word resources, what are we actually talking about?
Yeah, yes, when we talk about resources, we more of all the uh, family and information, things that work out for the success of the kind of what we say,
Okay, all right. So that is also very correct. Okay, so by the time you look at the resources, all right, we're actually looking at part of just like as you said in a layman's way, all right, or it can be the materials, it can be anything, all right, that will be used for enabling or ensuring that work goes smoothly. But when we discuss the concept of project resource management, I want you to just take note that what we're actually looking at or what our focus actually is that our focus is on roles and responsibilities, assigning roles and responsibilities to the project. So project resource management is the project manager thinking, how do I begin to assign roles and responsibilities? So roles and responsibility. So assigning roles to the project team members, assigning roles to other material resources. Because now if you are going to get a caterpillar for a project, now the question is what will that caterpillar do? So you are assigning roles to the caterpillar. If you are going to buy 5 bag of cement for a project, what do you want? What would that bag of cement do for you? You are assigning responsibility. So either ways you look at it, the summary of project resource management is simply that aspect of your project where roles and responsibilities are assigned to team members. Roles and responsibility. So just like as you can see on the screen, we said that it is a process that organize, manage, and lead the project team. So strictly or easy to say is that the summary of project resource management is how the project manager intend to be able to assign roles and responsibility to all team members, other material resources or equipment that will be used in completing the project. So in project resource management, as you can see, we have three categories of resources. We have the material resources, we have the human resources, and we have the non-human resources. The non-human resources in some materials or textbook, you will see it as physical resources. All right. So, but just take note, there is difference between physical resources or what we refer to as equipment and materials. Okay. So, just like as you can see, materials are what you can see the cement, you can see the paper, you can see the sand. Those are the materials. But in the case of equipment, you will see that, oh, you will need wheelbarrow to carry the sand. All right. So wheelbarrow is not a material in this case. It becomes an equipment that will be used. Then you also have the human resources, which are the people that will eventually carry out the task. So you see that we have been talking about the project team, your team. This is the aspect of the project where and how you intend to take care and manage the team is actually discussed. And that is why we are discussing project resource management. Now, in this project resource management, we are going to look at about 6 project management processes that we can follow. Number one, as you can see on the screen, we have plan resource management, which is the planning phase. We have estimate activity resources, which is planning phase. We have acquire resources, which is executing. We have develop team, which is executing. We have manage team, which is executing. And we have control resources, which is also monitoring and control. All right, so let's pick them one after the other. Plan resource management is that aspect of the project where the project manager begins to look out for the resources that will be needed for the project. So under the plan resource management, the first thing the project manager does is to begin to identify those resources he or she will need in the project. Oh, I will need human resources. I will need material resources. Oh, I will need equipment that I need to use for this project. Okay, so plan resource management is that process where the project manager begins to look out for identifying all the possible resources that will be needed, documenting those resources down, and begin to assign roles and responsibility. So this is the aspect. This is the aspect of that project where they put all the plans of remuneration, how to take care of the team. Oh, what are the motivation factor? What are the reward system? Oh, maybe there will be need for training. There will be need for get together. All those things that contains or pertains to resources that will be used in the project will be discussed at this planning stage. Okay, so all that take place at this planning stage, you see that at the end of the day, there will become an establishment of project roles and responsibilities. All right, staffing and managing of every other person that will be involved in the project. All right, so what do we want to achieve in this process? Two things. What we want to achieve in this process is to have the resource management plan and what we refer to as the team charter. We'll explain them shortly. And how do we go about this resource planning? You can see the technique. We can use hierarchical charts. We can use organizational theory. We can use expert judgment, meeting, test-oriented format, resource responsibility assignment matrix. So we're going to look at them one after the other. So one after the other, the first one we're going to look at is the organizational chart and position description. Basically, the organizational chart can easily be used to assign roles and responsibilities. So basically, we have three different formats that can be used to assign roles and responsibility to your team members. The first format is using the organizational chart. The second format is using the responsibility chart, while the third format is using the test-oriented chart. So these three different formats can be used by the project manager to assign roles and responsibility to all the resources that will be used in that particular project. Let's now take organizational chart for example. The project manager needs to bring in some engineers on board. He needs to bring in a plumber. He needs to bring in a surveyor. He needs to bring in maybe an architect. He needs to bring in all those different experts together. Okay, so it needs to bring in all these set of people to the project. So organizational chart becomes very, very necessary. So you can see that in the concept of organizational chart, the project manager can easily assign roles following the organogram of the organization. Okay, so because of this organogram, it becomes easy for the project manager to assign roles and responsibility to all the team members involved. That is using organizational charts to assign roles and responsibility. Then apart from organizational chart, we can also make use of the matrix based chart. We can also make use of the matrix based chart. The matrix based chart is simply that form of chart that is used to show the type of resources that want to be assigned and the responsibility that resources will be carrying out in the project. So the matrix based chart is graphical, and under the matrix based chart we have two different categories. We have the RAM, which is the responsibility assignment matrix, okay, which is to graphically shows the resources and the responsibility of that resources. Then we also have the RACI chart, which is what? The responsibility, accountability, consult and inform chart. So the RACI is an acronym for responsibility, A, accountability, C, consult, then I, inform. So that is the RACI chart. So we look at them the one after the other. So quickly you can see that you can see the responsibility assignment matrix, okay, on the screen. You are welcome, Kennedy. You can see the responsibility assignment matrix on the screen for assigning roles and responsibility. So this is a sample of the responsibility assignment matrix. Okay, you see this is the activities: develop monthly reports, hold meeting with project stakeholder. All right, you can see P represent primary responsibility, S represents secondary responsibility. So charity, for this first activity, charity is primarily responsible for developing monthly report, while Funke and Cordelia excuse me, while Funke and Cordelia, they are secondary responsible. So which means in the absence of charity, these other two, Funke and Cordelia, can step in and take charge of that responsibility. So also in the case of holding meeting with project stakeholders. So you can see that the person who is primarily responsible for that assignment is what? Funke, okay, and every other person will be added, or every other person will join or will be ensuring that in situation whereby Funke is not available, they help carry out the task. So this is a sample of the matrix base. Remember I said under the matrix base we have two categories, which is the RAM, responsibility assignment matrix. So you can see that this matrix base, it displays the resources and the task that needs to be done. It displays the resources and the task that needs to be done. But you discover that in this matrix base is not showing us the time that charity will carry out this task. It's not time bound. You can see it's not showing us time frame. All right. Okay, hold meetings with project stakeholders. It's not showing us the time that this meeting will be holding. All right. So just take note of that. Then the second category is the responsibility, the RACI. All right, which is the responsibility, accountability, consult and inform matrix. So this matrix often is departmental in nature. which means most often it is used to assign roles to department. Okay, it's used to assign roles to department. So now, what do we mean by responsibility? Responsibility in this case, we are simply saying that who is going to perform the work? Who is going to perform that task? Accountability, okay, when the task is performed, who is going to sign off and hold and take responsibility of the task? That yes, I can sign off and validate that what they have done is okay. Consult, who are we going to meet to discuss with about our decisions and get more information from that person or get more data, get more support? That is consult. Then inform is who must we tell about all our decisions and what we have done. That is the concept of the responsibility, accountability, consult, inform, which is the RASI chart. Okay, it is used to display the responsibilities or the task that needs to be performed and the resources who is going to perform the task. So you can see, for example, activities. Who is going to perform this? What are the activities? Brand awareness. Okay, let me leave this. Joseph, can you explain this table for me now? From this, from what I've said so far. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, sir. You said what?
Yes, can you explain this table for me now?
You responsibility and this table
Yes, the table.
for the let me try, let me try.
Okay.
I think for this now, I've taken the brand awareness. So what it means is that under the management, there has to be informed, then HR, that's the human resources of it.
Yes.
The HR has to the consultation, and then the corporate development has to be the area of responsibility and accountability. I don't really that's simply explanation.
Okay. So what that simply means is that from this table, the corporate development department is responsible for brand awareness. Corporate development department is going to sign off for brand awareness when it is done, and corporate development department must consult with HRO to get more data, to get more informations, all right, that they can work with. That is H. So the corporate development department will consult HRO for any other possible input for brand awareness. While the corporate development department will definitely inform management of what they have done so far. So also in the second activity, which is what CROM software development. Okay, so the CROM software development, you can see that the responsibility is on the IT department. So they are responsible for developing the software, and they are also accountable for signing off the software. But you see that they have to consult corporate development to get input, maybe part of the information they want to use in the software. And also, you see that there will be an information that will be shared with the corporate, with the management. Okay, so this is simply the resource, the matrix based method of assigning roles and responsibilities to team members. Okay, so take note for the purpose of exam. Then, apart from the matrix base, I told you earlier that we have three. The third one for assigning roles and responsibility is the test-oriented format. This test-oriented format is also called the position description format. If you can still remember, it is test-oriented because it is well detailed. Just like as you can see in this table, is straight, like the example we did in this table, you see that it's straight to the point. No explanation. All right. If you don't understand it, you don't understand it. All right. But in the case of the test oriented format, it is more detailed with plenty of what? Explanation. That is it. It's more what? Detailed with plenty of explanation. Example, if you can still remember those job ads that you often come across, that you will see in the job ad, they will tell you the position, the title, the organization, the term of service, whether it's full-time or part-time. Then under it, they will now give you a long list of the job descriptions, then the role and responsibilities of, so you can see that that is the test-oriented format. Now, take note, these roles and responsibilities has already been created before they even acquire the resources. So you that want to, an engineer that want to apply for the job would have seen the roles and responsibility detailedly spelled out for him to say, oh, I have interest in this job. That is the test-oriented format for assigning roles and responsibility. So you can decide to say, no, Kunle is going to be in charge of foundation for that project. And now you say you want to use test-oriented format, which means all the tasks that you want to assign to Kunle, you will be very detailed, in detailed manner, explaining them step by step, so that Kunle can understand how enormous the task that needs to be performed is. Okay, so that is what the test oriented format. All right, it is used to describe or provide descriptions of roles and responsibility that will be assigned to team members. So roles and responsibility can be assigned using the organizational chart. It can be assigned using the matrix-based chart, which can either be RAM or RACI, and it can be assigned using the test-oriented format. Okay, so that is that. Then the next one is we want to look at organizational theory. Why do we need to look at organizational theory? We want to know because it is very important for you to know as a project manager. Why do organizations behave the way they do? Why do organizations? Why do they behave the way they do? Why is it that the people you are going to bring on board in your team to work with you, why would they have the kind of mindset they have? That is the organizational theory. You see that in your own organization, for example, everybody that is working on a project or working in that organization have different perception and different mindset, have different belief system. Now the question is, why are they behaving the way they are behaving? Why do people you employ to help you with a project behave the way they want to behave? That can only be explained with the help of organizational theory. So what is organizational theory? Organizational theory is more like those management theory that help us to explain what makes people, what makes team, what makes a department behave or perform the way they do. So that is an organizational theory. And we have several organizational theory that we can look at. Right? Several organizational theory, just like as I have captured in this document, several organizational theory. You can see the Maslow hierarchy of needs. All these are different organizational theory, but we're going to pick a few to look out. Then the first one we should look out is the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Yes, Kennedy, I know this is not a new term, Maslow hierarchy of needs. We refer to it as the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. Yes, what do you have to say regarding this Maslow hierarchy of needs? Hello, Kennedy, can you hear us? All right, we can hear you. Go on. Good evening. Clothing. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Um, Joseph, yes, you have something to say? All right. Okay. Now, in addition to what Mr. Kennedy said, you know, yes, it is management term for motivating staff. But now, what Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, or what Abraham Maslow was actually talking about, he was saying that the best way to motivate your staff is not actually money, is that the staff is able to contribute his best to the organization. And that is why in Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need, he said that the first thing that will make a staff to be satisfied or your team member to be satisfied is when the team member is able to meet his or her physiological needs. Imagine you are working with a team in a project whereby some of your physiological needs are not met. There will be problem. You won't be able to give in your best. That is the Abraham Maslow. So this is the hierarchy of needs. So according to Abraham Maslow, you discover that even yourself, if you can still remember, maybe when you were still looking for a job, If you can still remember then, you can tell yourself that omo, any job that come I will manage it. Why did you make that decision? And maybe they offer you a job that is very time taking, demanding, the money is not much. You say, omo, I will manage it to at all, na bad. Why? Because that job at that point meets your physiological needs. It can be able to provide food on the table. It can be able to provide water. It can be able to provide shelter. It can be able to provide clothing. And it can be able to provide sleep. At that level, what is your basic need is your physiological needs. So Abraham Maslow is saying that at this level, if you are having a staff member that is suffering from shelter, he will not be able to perform and give you the best. Did you get that, please? He will not be able to give you his or her best. Why? Because that is his need at that particular time. So you will not discover that after you have, maybe you have a staff, all right, or maybe you now, you have been able to take care of your physiological needs. You discover that after a while, you have gotten that job you are doing, and maybe they are paying you small money to take care of your personal need. A time will come, you will no longer be satisfied, and you will not be thinking of safety and security needs. How do I ensure that this job I am doing, I am safe? That, because at that time, that becomes your need. But you discover that at that first time, you did not mind that any job they give you, you will do it, or even if it's far, you are working in the night, you are moving from one place to another, you are going to sleep in the traffic, it not concern you there. But a time come that that is no longer your need. Your need will now move to safety and security need. And what are those safety and security needs? That's when you're not thinking of health insurance. Remember, when you started the job, they did not give you health insurance. You say, no wahala, I will start, I will be managing it. Then time come, you now say, oh, but we need health insurance. Oh, we need this job. We need a very secure job. Oh. I need to do some programs to get a very good job that will give me security, that I can be able to be stable and take care of other major needs. That is because you are growing, as you are working, you are growing in your needs. So a time will now come that you are no longer worried about safety. What you are more worried about is about affections, love and belongingness, social needs, which has to do with the connection. You are worried of the classes of people you want to associate with. Why are you worried of those classes? Because you want to get connection. You want to be intimate. You want to maintain some level of friendship with some set of people. That is the affectionate and belongingness need. You want to join a group. You want to belong to where you will be recognized. All right, where people will show you love. All right, that is what the social needs or the affection needs. Then the fourth hierarchy is self-esteem needs. Self-esteem needs comes as a result of what you have achieved. Oh, you want to be respected because you are the project manager. That is become a self-esteem need because of your level of impact and achievement. People need to respect you. People will give you the respect because you are the MD, or because you are the director, or because you are the manager. That is the self-esteem need. So which means at that time, what you need is esteem. Things that will boost your ego, things that will boost your reputation. You're no longer worried about physiological food or shelter because you already have them. You're no longer worried about secure job or property or health because you already have them. You're no longer worried about friendship or relationship because you already have them. But now, self-esteem, you're now worried more about your reputation, the respect you are to get from others. That, oh, when you walk into an office, everybody should greet you. Good morning, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Good morning, sir. Becomes your self-esteem need. I've seen somebody that sack an employee because the person did not acknowledge the presence of the MD, all right, or they call them directors, all right, executive directors. It happens. Then a time will not come that you are no longer concerned about your achievement. All you are concerned about is what will make you happy. Remember, at this self-actualization and self-esteem need, you can do anything to get that esteem, to get that respect, to get that love, for people to show you that respect. Yes. But a time will not come that will no longer be your need. Example, after you have become the MD of a bank, for example, for 3 or 5 years, and a time will come you have all the needs, you have all the respect. All right. But a time will come that when you are no longer in that position, what will happen? You now see that you will now be fulfilling purpose based on self-actualization. What exactly is it that you will be doing that will make you happy at that particular time is what refers to as what? Self-actualization. That is when you now feel that fulfilling purpose is a major key or is a major concern for you as regard what you intend to do. All right. I hope this explanation is very clear. So that is the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need. Okay. So the first need a man will worried about is the physiological need, followed by safety need, followed by affection or social need, followed by self-esteem need, and the last one, which is the pinnacle of it, is the self-actualization need. That is why you see some people occupying big position, but they are not happy. Yes, they are seeing the money, but they are not fulfilled. So this self-actualization need is the self-fulfillment that comes with fulfilling a purpose. All right, that is Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. So you must be able to understand your team members in that regard. Then the second or the other theory is the Hansberg theory of motivation, and it was categorized into two, which is the hygiene factor and the motivation or the motivating factor. What this guy is saying is that he was making it clear that sometimes salary is not enough to motivate us, and salary and other things can be referred to as the hygiene factor. Example, what does it mean? What is an hygiene factor? Let me look for a practical example. Hygiene factor in a nutshell is like, let's look at your place of work, for example. All right. There are some things that ordinarily should be in your place of work. All right. If it is not in your place of work, well, it doesn't motivate you, but the fact that it's not there is enough to demotivate you. That is what an hygiene factor. Example, in your office, let's say you're supposed to have AC. It's supposed to be a standard in your office. You're supposed to have AC. But the fact that you do not have AC, is it going to motivate you to do work or not? No. But the fact that AC is not even in the office is still enough to discourage you or what? Demotivate you. So you can't say that because we did not have AC, I will not do my work. So those kind of things we refer to them as what? Hygiene factor, which simply says that the presence does not motivate. But if it is not available, it's go further to demotivate you. Like the working condition. Oh, you don't have the best facility to work. They are paying you well. But you can't say that because the floor of your office is not tiled, that you won't be motivated to do your work, or you will not be happy to do your work. You do your work and go, but the fact that the floor is not tiled, there's still some level of demotivation that it will bring. We refer to that as what? Hygiene factor. So hygiene factor is saying that sometimes job security is not enough to motivate you, but if it is not present, it can demotivate you more, because it will now make you to begin to seek alternative job outside. Oh, working environment is not enough to motivate you, but if it is not conducive enough, it can make you to begin to seek job where they have a conducive working environment. All right. Oh, relationship at work is not enough to motivate you because somebody is not greeting you in the office, or everybody is not your friend. Is it a motivating factor for you to work? No. But the fact that you still have people who are not having a good relationship with you is still enough for you to look for an environment that is friendly to work. So that is what we refer to as the hygiene factor. But the motivating factor is that are those things that can motivate you those things that can motivate you. Number one thing is challenges. Being able to contribute your work, being able to solve problems, being able to be part of the team that is able to arrive at a solution, getting recognition, oh, having to receive a thank you note from your boss. All these are factors that can motivate you. Increase or a boost in your salary. Remember, increase in your salary can become what? A motivation. All this is what we refer to as the Hensberg theory of motivation, which says that salary is not enough factor to motivate you, working condition is not enough factor to motivate you, but if they are not there, it can go a long way to demotivate you, to the extent that you begin to look out for another organization that can provide you those things. And he also said that what can motivate you is when you are able to face a challenge and solve that challenge is enough motivation for you as a project manager. Then also the last one, let me just look at this, the McGregor theory S and Y. What is the McGregor theory S and Y? The McGregor theory S and Y is straightforward. McGregor came up with this theory. First, he developed the theory Y and theory X and theory Y. What does it mean by theory Y? He came up with the idea that in some organization, that you will discover that some people are not motivated to work. Some people don't even like to work. Some people are unambitious. So therefore, those kind of people need constant monitoring. So what this McGregor is saying is that in a situation whereby as a project manager, you find out that you have some team members who don't like to work naturally, who are lazy in doing their job, how can you get the best result from them? McGregor is saying that you should not constantly monitor them, which he refers to as the management style called micromanagement. So McGregor refers to that style as what? Micromanagement, which simply means, or which simply says that those people that are not motivated to work, that they don't even like working. So if you have them in your team and you want to get result from them, McGregor theory Y is saying that micromanage them, put them under pressure to work, do give them a constant monitoring, constant mail, constant feedback. That is the best method of getting result from them. And it's also referred to it as what? A carrot and stick approach. You know, the carrot and stick approach simply is that process of reward and punishment. If they are doing well, reward them. If they are doing badly, punish them. That is what the McGregor theory is. The McGregor theory Y is saying that it is also possible you have in your team a set of ambitious team members, a set of people who are determined to work, who can go all out for the organization. That those set of people, what do you do to manage them? Is the McGregor theory Y now said that those set of people, you don't need to micromanage them. But what you can do to those set of people is to provide a challenging and a tougher environment for them to work. Give them more responsibility and give them time to carry out those responsibilities. That is what McGregor theory Y. So McGregor theory Y is saying that if you have people who are ready to work in your team, don't micromanage them. Don't put them under pressure. Give them more tasks to do. Give them tougher responsibility to work on. And the more you give them tougher responsibility and they are achieving it, you keep recognizing them. That is what McGregor theory S and Y. Excuse me, sir, somebody asked me a question. Which one is the best between this McGregor theory S and Y? No one is the best. Hello? So it now depends on your application as a project manager. So it is possible you find in your team some set of people who don't like to work or who like giving excuse fulfilling deadline. So what is McGregor saying as a project manager? Those set of people, micromanage them, put them under pressure, give them deadlines. So to put somebody, if for instance you want a, a, a report by 5 o'clock in the evening, you know that if you tell the person 5 o'clock in the evening, the person will wait until 4:59 before he send that report. You can tell the person, I want that report 10 a.m. So you see that the person will be under pressure to deliver that report by 10 a.m. Right? Okay. I hope that is clear. Yes, Joseph, is that clear? All right. Okay. Okay. So all these are different organizational theory. So it's a management discussion. So why do we need to ship this in? Because you are dealing with people. And because you are dealing with people, it is expected that as a project manager, you must know how to manage your team. All right? So that is a management style that can be used to manage your team. So that in case you are working in a team where you have this set of people, you should know what to do. All right? Okay. Then this what we have on the screen is the resource management plan. So the resource management plan contains all how you intend to manage all your resources for the project. All right, you can see the roles and responsibility will be assigned, the resources that will be used, other things you will plan for training and development of your resources, the management, the staffing plan for your resources, how you intend to get staff, how you intend to care for them, how you intend to recognize them, how you intend to motivate them. So you see all those things. So it must be put in place during the planning stage. So it is not after you employ somebody you now be thinking of what you want to pay the person. It is actually before you want to employ a person or bring a team member, you should have sat down and look at what role do I want this person to perform and what motivation do I need to provide for such role. All right. So those things should be looked into before the person comes on board. So that is why it is planning. You must plan them ahead. All right. So now, in also one other thing that is important to discuss during the planning stage of your resources is what we refer to as a team charter. What is a team charter? A team charter, in a nutshell, can be referred to as the ground rules, can be referred to as the team's norms, can be referred to as the team's values, can be referred to as those things that will become like a guiding principle for everybody who is working on the project. And when should this team charter be created? It should be created at the beginning of the project. So which means the moment you have been able to gather your team together, you must discuss about the rules and responsibilities. Or let me not use responsibilities, the rules and regulations that will guide and govern your team. So now the team charter is not created by the project manager. Rather, the team charter is created by all the team members. So everybody must be carried along and say, okay, what are the rules that and regulations that we must upheld in this team? Okay, no fighting is a rule. So if we fight, if anybody fights, what is the punishment? It will be everybody will agree on the punishment. Oh, should we deduct money from their salary? Should we sanction them? Should we do this? All the team members will agree. That's number one. Okay, what about if somebody is going to wed in our team or the person give birth to baby? What do we do? It must be stated. So the team charter becomes the document that guides the team's behavior, the team's values. Is more like the acceptable rules, the acceptable norms, the acceptable behaviors that will govern and guide the team that is working on the project. That becomes the team charter. Who creates the team charter? I have said it, everybody that is participating in the project. Excuse me, sir, why do you need to involve everybody? Can't the project manager just sit down and create the rules and regulations? No, he can't just sit down and create the rules and regulations. Because if everybody is part of the creation process of the team charter, everybody will respect the rules and regulation. And that will reduce the level or the number of conflicts that can occur in the project. That is what the team charter. Okay? Then the next thing that will be discussed is we have finished planning, then estimate activity resources. So in estimate activity resources, this stage in our project, excuse me, we actually want to look at what are the numbers of resources we need. Just as it sounds, estimate. So which means we can't actually do this process without the WBS. So the WBS becomes also very vital in this case. So all the activities, so we are going to estimate the activities resources. So which means for all the activities or tasks that needs to be performed, we need to now sit down and begin to write out what type of resources do we need for this activity? What quantity of resources do we need to carry out this activity? Let's use example the building project. Let's look at the work package foundation. And under the work package, let's assume that we have been able to break it out to different activities. We said that first and foremost, we will do the clearing of the land. Then after clearing of the land, we will now do land mapping. After land mapping, we'll do land mapping and yes, and lining. They will now do digging. After digging, we'll now do mixing of concrete and pouring of those granite and everything. Now, the first thing is that what are the type of resources and the quantity of resources I will need for foundation and for clearing of the land. So that is where you now think, okay, do I need equipment? If I need equipment to clear the land, what type of equipment and what quantity do I need? Oh, do I need somebody, a person? What type of person? Is it going to be skilled person or unskilled person? Or do I just bring a aboki? That is That is it. Oh, materials that I will need for clearing of the land. What kind of materials do I need for clearing of the land? And what quantity of the materials? So estimate activity resources is simply that process of finding out, identifying and calculating in terms of types and quantity of the materials, of the people or the equipment or the supplies that the project manager needs to perform that particular activities. So if you have 20 activities, therefore you are going to begin to estimate based on those activities. And that is the concept of estimate activity resources. Excuse me, sir, can I use the same estimating technique for resources and estimate the same estimating technique for cost and schedule? Yes. So it is the same estimating technique for costing and scheduling that is also used for resource estimation. So you can see analogous estimation, parametric, bottom up, all these are the same estimating technique. So what do we want to achieve when we when we estimate activity resources? Number one, you see that we want to achieve resource requirement. So which means we will now have a document containing all the requirements of our resources. Oh, activity A, these are all the things we need to perform activity A. Oh, activity B, these are all the resources we need to perform activity B. Oh, activity C, these are all the resources we need. That becomes what? Your resource requirement. Then basis of resources, the explanation that justify how you arrive at the number of resources you are using for a particular activity. Resource breakdown is a structural view of all the resources. Let's look at this on the screen. All right, let's look at this on the screen. So you can see example of resource breakdown structure. So resource breakdown structure is what? The hierarchical representation of resources by category and type. So this is an example. Hospital construction project, for example. You can see that the resource breakdown, human and non-human. Under the non-human, you can see material and equipment. You see the breakdown. Okay, under material, you now discover that okay, you need also resources for construction and decoration. You can see the breakdown. And what do you need under the construction? You see all the resources needed under construction. So that is the same thing. Oh, under equipment, you can see light equipment, heavy equipment, crane and dumpers. All right, you see all these are. So a resource breakdown is that hierarchical view or hierarchical representation of all your resources that is needed in your project. So you can also see in the case of human resources, you see the breakdown. Oh, from all the analysis we have done, we will need some skilled resources, we will need unskilled resources, we will need legal. So you can see all the breakdown. So who does this breakdown? The project team. Hello, is it the project manager that does this? No, the project team. So everybody involved in the project must be involved. I hope we are together. Joseph, are you any question for me? Kennedy, any question for me? All right. Okay, so let's move on. So now you have been able to estimate the quantity of resources you need. The next process is the executing process, which is the process where you actually go to get the resources. So acquire resources is that process in the resource management process where you actually take a step to get those resources. All right, that is what acquire resources. You could be that you are acquiring the physical resources, which is the machine or materials needed, or you are acquiring the human resources. All right, so acquire resources is that process that actually involve the project manager getting to secure or bringing aboard all the resources they plan to get. That is what acquire resources, as simple as it sounds. All right, so you must take note when acquiring resources. There are some basic things it symbolizes. Acquiring resources symbolizes like hiring new employee. That is acquiring resources. Acquiring resources is like getting your suppliers to deliver materials to you. That's acquiring resources. Acquiring resources is like signing a contract with maybe supplier or anybody you are bringing on board. All right. Apart from that, acquiring resources involve negotiating for the best possible resources. So there's no way you want to acquire resources, either human or material, that you will not do a negotiation. Okay, so all these things happen during what? Acquire resources. Then there's also what we refer to as pre-assigned resources. Pre-assigned resources. Yes, it is true that you need to acquire resources for your project. And there is also what we refer to as what? Pre-assigned resources. What is the meaning of pre-assigned resources? In a simple way to explain pre-assigned resources. Now, let's assume that you are discussing with your sponsor for a project that you are planning to work on. All right? So both of you are discussing on that project. Then while you guys are discussing, okay, let's say for example, the project is to build a maybe a mini stadium. All right, you guys need to construct a mini stadium, and they told you the reason why they're embarking on the project. Then, while you are now discussing with the sponsor, and the sponsor now told you that, well, Joseph, to work with you in this project, I would like so person to work with you. I would like Kunle to work with you. I would like Jasper to work with you. Jasper is a structural engineer. Kunle is good at documentation and all that, so they will work with you. Now, we call them pre-assigned resources because you are not the one that acquired them yourself. It was the sponsor that assigned those resources to you. So we refer to them as what? Pre-assigned. So every resources that is provided to you to use, that you are not the one that acquired those resources, especially those resources that comes from the sponsor, we refer to them as what? Pre-assigned resources. All right. Oh, they can tell you that yes, we have so material, so the equipment, so this, or yeah, you can make use of them for the project. But remember, you are not the one that acquired them. Those resources were acquired and provided for you to use. We refer to it as what? Pre-assigned resources. I hope that is clear. So pre-assigned resources, we must always confirm the availability of all pre-assigned resources. So which means as a project manager, any form of pre-assigned resources that was assigned to the project from the beginning of the project by the sponsor or the customer or the owner of the project, take note, you must confirm the availability before the project starts. All right, not the project has started, you now want to go and confirm. Hey, excuse me, sir, you said this person that is a good structural engineer. Can I have the number? If it will be no, before you even start the project, you must confirm the availability of all pre-assigned resources. All right. No, now why acquiring team? There are different kind of team that can be acquired in a project. There are different kind of team that can be acquired in a project. All right, and we have dedicated team, we have part-time team, we have partnership team, and we have virtual team. What do we mean by dedicated team? You can decide to acquire a team or a set of people that will work in your project that will work full time, which means they will be dedicated to the project and they are going to give you if they are going to give their best and focus on the project as a whole. We refer to them as what? Dedicated team. Then we have part-time team. There are some people you want to bring on board that you don't just want them to be totally involved in the project, but rather they can share a little portion of their time on the project. That becomes a part-time team. And partnership and virtual team. All these are various kind of teams that can be acquired. Sometimes, remember in the test-oriented format of assigning roles and responsibility, all right? I don't know if you have come across it in a job ad, all right, in a job advert. You now see that in that job advert, it is clearly stated, all right, and the name of the organization, the role they are employing for, and the term. They will not tell you is fixed or is part-time or is virtual or is remote. Now, what is the latest now is remote, all right? So that is the type of team, or hybrid, all right? So there are different kind of team that you can bring on board. So what determines this is the nature of the project, all right? I hope that is clear. So what do we want to achieve at the end of this process is to have all our resources, which is the physical resources that have been assigned, containing all the list, the amount, the quantity, and the type of physical resources we need. Also, the project team, which is the human resources that we need, that we are going to assign roles and responsibility, because we are acquiring them. So we are acquiring both physical resources and the human resources, which is the project team. And also, there's also what we refer to as resource calendar. A resource calendar is that document that shows to the project manager the availability of what is resources. So the resource calendar is that document that simply shows the availability of resources during your project. The purpose of the resource calendar is to know if your team member or your resources will be available at a particular time or not. That becomes what? Resource calendar. Okay? Resource calendar is to show the availability of your resources. Okay, so moving forward, now we have been able to estimate the activities of the resources we need. The next thing, we have been able to acquire those resources we need. Then there must also be a process which we call develop project team. What is the develop project team about? This process is what we refer to, let me not speak the grammar we have here. Develop project team is that process in your team management where the project manager will do all he can to ensure that consistently improve or increase the competencies, the cohesion, the relationship of the team in performance. So develop project team is more like whatever the project manager can do to make sure the competency of the team he has put together are working effectively and efficiently. That is what develop project team. So in a summary, develop project team is simply focusing on improving your team. What can I do to improve teamwork? What can I do to enhance the skills and competency of my team? What can I do to motivate my team members? What can I do to make sure my team members will not leave me and go and look for another job? What can I do to make sure the team can consistently achieve results? Whatever you will do is what we refer to as develop project team. Who has this responsibility? The project manager. So which means the project manager must keep thinking ahead to ensure that, yes, remember you are dealing with people. What can I do to consistently make these people motivated to work together and provide and produce a beautiful result on a consistent basis? What can I do to enhance their performance working together? Is what we refer to as develop project team. All right. So now let me ask a question, Kennedy. Yes. What from experience? What are those activities done by organization or your project manager when they are trying to develop the team performance or improve the cohesion and interaction of the team? Can you share any experience? Hello, Kennedy, are you there? Hello, Kennedy, we can't hear you. Yeah, we can hear you now. Okay, so I asked a question. I said that, for example, in your own office, for example, what are the things being done that you have experienced that maybe your project manager or your organization is using to develop the team, to make them work effectively, to bring that cohesion between the team, to make them perform excellently together? Yes. Any idea? Yes, I can hear you. That's like giving them more challenging work. That's like giving them more challenging work to do. All right, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, Joseph, what about you? What do you guys do in your organization to improve team performance? Hello, Joseph. Any experience? All right. Okay. All right. That's okay. Have you guys heard of team building activities? All right. So take note. Team building is one strategy that can be used to improve team performance. To yes. Okay. Yes. Quickly. Exactly. Also, yes. Yes. All right. And quickly, share everybody participated in creating that team charter. That uh, exactly. So all these are part of the team charter. It must be discussed and agreed upon by all team members. All right. So in that yes. So let's move on. So you will see that the easiest way or one of the best way to develop your team is to get involved in team building activities. Remember, we are looking at for ways to enhance teamwork. Developing team is more like saying that what can I do to enhance teamwork? What can I do to make sure the five team that I have can work effectively together without any inch? So we refer to all those things that it can be done as team building activity. Before we now look at the team building activity, Bruce Stockman came up with 5 stages of team development. And what is Bruce Stockman 5 stages of team development? Bruce Stockman mentioned that there are basic 5 stages which simply means that if you remember that time you nearly joined that organization, you see that at that early stage you joined that organization, what you are doing at that early stage is called forming, which is the first stage. So in that forming stage, that is the stage where you are still new to the project and they are still taking you around, explaining your roles and responsibilities, trying to understand what the project is all about. That stage is referred to as what? The forming stage, which means the team is just forming. They are just introducing each other. Oh, meet Kunle. Kunle is the project this, is one in charge of design. Oh, meet Wale. Wale is in charge of mapping. Oh, meet Peter. Peter is in charge of architect. Meet this one is in charge of plumbing. Meet that one is in charge of at that stage we call it the forming stage. So everybody in that team, we are just getting to learn about the project. We are just getting to know about what the project entails, what is our roles, what are our responsibilities. That is what the forming stage. Then after the forming stage, we go to the next stage, which is the storming stage. The storming stage automatically becomes that stage in the project where the team now start working together. But because they are now working together, they now begin to have some disagreement due to differences in their technical opinions and ideas. Alright, oh, Wale is used to a particular way of doing things and Kule is used to a particular way of doing things and they are a part of the team. There becomes that storming stage, a little disagreement where things begin to get tougher. Why? Because Kunle wants his own idea to work, Wale wants his own idea to be taken. We refer to it as that stage as what? Storming stage. Alright, we just started working together and because of our technical decision or our experience or where we have worked before, we now begin to have little disagreement and conflict simply because of our different in perspective and ideas of what we want to work on. That is the storming stage. Then the norming stage now becomes that stage where we now begin to work together. Now we are working together based on the fact that we decide to adjust our behaviors and habits. We're no longer fighting now or having disagreement because the project is our priority. We now understood ourselves to the extent that even in our disagreement, we can keep our disagreement aside and focus on the project. That becomes norming stage, which means at this stage, the team begin to trust themselves, the team begin to work effectively together. All right, that is what the norming stage. Then a time comes where we refer to as the performing stage, where the team can now work effectively together as a unit. Now at this point, they can easily carry out tasks effectively and what? Efficiently. They work interdependently with everyone in the team. We refer to that as performing stage. That is the stage whereby even when somebody is missing in the team, you won't get to know. Why? Because everybody have gotten to the stage where the relationship is now very tight and they can now work effectively together. So if Wale is not around, you won't know because Kunle understand how to work with Wale, he can fix him. That is now the performing stage. Then the last stage, which is adjoining, is now when the team has completed the project and they disband the team and the project move on. All right. So that is the Bruce Stockman 5 stage of team development. So you remember that you have passed through this stage without knowing. When you got that job or you were introduced to that project or you got that new project organization you are working with, you see that at that beginning you are just, when they introduce you, you're just getting to know each other. As time goes on, you have to have some conflict or disagreement with your team members. Why? Because of your difference of opinions, of ideas. And as time goes on, you begin to accommodate each other's ideas. And as time goes on, you work together effectively. And as time goes on, when the project is done, everybody find their way. Okay? So all these you can see on the screen are different activities that can be done, which are referred to as team building activities. I told you that the best way to develop your team is referred to as what? Performing or having a team building activity. What are team building activities? Team building activities are those activities that will be done to bring the team together. Those activities that will be performed, like for instance now, organizing training, organizing training for the team. All of them go to a workshop where they sit down together and have a training, have a symposium. That is a team building activity. Oh, you bring 5 teams together and you give them WBS. Let them create the work package. They are working together. You are doing a team building activity. Oh, there's a family hangout, or there's an hangout, or they're having a thank God it's Friday. You bring them together. Or they can do an indoor game. You bring all the team together. All those little things that you guys do just to bring the team together is what we refer to as team building activities. I just hope that is clear. Now, let's now assume that we have our team working effectively because we have been able to develop them. But you must also know that while you are developing your team, you must put at the back of your mind what we refer to as manage your project team. Who does the management of the project team? Take note, it is the responsibility of the project manager. Now, when we say manage project team, because just like as Kennedy said, that one of the resources that is difficult to manage are human or people. So because people are what form your team, technically there is possibility that there will be some level of conflict that can occur in your project. So manage project team is the process of tracking your team members' performance, providing feedback, resolving their issues, and making sure that any form of changes that needs to be made to increase performance is actually carried out. So in a nutshell, managed project team is focused on the individual, because the individuals that made up the team, now you want to check what is the performance. Is this person, Kunle, in my team, is he performing as expected? Is he delivering? Or has there been issue? Is he having a fight with any team member? So managed project team is that aspect where the project manager focus on the individuals on the team to find out what their challenge are, to find out things that they need to do, to find out if there are issues surrounding what they need to do. That is the managed project team. Hello, are we together? So that is what manage project team. So manage project team is that aspect where the project manager focus more on resolving any conflict in the team and ensuring that the team or the individuals who are part of the team are motivated to work. So you can see this diagram on the screen. You can see, for instance, there are issues in the team, non-conducive behaviors in the team, dissatisfaction of team members, there are conflicts in the team, misunderstanding, lack of motivation, performance slipping, they are not performing well. So what is all these are problems that happen in the team. So because all these problems can occur because you have people working in the team, the project manager must do what? Constantly keep watch for the team. So this is an example of the team that are having the issue. So the project manager must constantly do what? Keep watch on the team by ensuring that number one, there's a timely resolution of any conflict, because we can't take it away. Plus or minus in a team, there is possibility of having conflict, so you can't take it away. So because there is possibility of having conflict, you must make sure that there is timely resolution of those conflicts. And the project manager must ensure that there's a regular feedback on team performance, how the team is performing regarding to the project they are working on. So regular feedback on team performance, regular motivation, and clear communications. So all these little things are what the project manager must keep watching on and ensuring that it's taking place. Because in any team that you are working on, there must be some conflict, dissatisfaction, misunderstanding, lack of motivation. So the project manager must pay attention to the individuals on your team so that you can be able to manage them very well. Because if, for instance, a team member, somebody in your team is dissatisfied, or let's even remove this, is misunderstanding the role he needs to play or the task he needs to do, it will affect the entire project. Okay, that is why you must focus on your team member. So the project manager will use interpersonal skills to keep the team focused on performance and the project work. All right, so that is that. So what do we want to achieve is ensuring that the team is doing what they need to do, and if there is need for changes, change can be made. So what is the skills? Interpersonal and team skills. Ability to be able to work with the team, understand your team, and be able to show some level of leadership and emotional intelligence is very key when you talk about managing your team. Now, like I said, it is technically impossible to say that in a team there is no conflict. It is technically impossible. So we want to quickly just look at what is a conflict. And if I am managing my team and conflict occur, how do I go about the conflict? Conflict can be positive or negative. Take note, we can't totally eradicate conflicts in our projects. So managing conflicts in your project can be positive or negative. So take note, it is not all conflicts that are bad. There are some conflicts that occur in the project that brings to a better understanding or a better productivity or a better way of doing things. So if, for instance, Wale and Kunle are from different organizations and they are now working together on a project, and let's assume they have conflict. That conflict on their difference in technical opinion, by the time it becomes resolved, one of them will now have a better way or a better understanding of attending to different challenges. So technically, it is not all conflicts that are negative. There are some conflicts that are positive, that bring about productivity, bring about enhancement of delivery, and bring about new ways or new ideas of performing a task. Okay, but the conflicts that are negative are those conflicts that bring about lack of productivity. It brings delay to the project. It can bring bad results. Then those are negative conflicts. All right, so what are the source of conflicts in a project? Take note, this is the order. Number one, source of conflict in a project conflict can come from schedule. Conflict can come from project priorities. Conflict can come from resources. Conflict can come from technical opinions. Conflict can come from administrative procedures. Conflict can come from costs. And conflict can come from personality. All right, all these are the 7 major sources of conflict. Then also take note, conflict in a project cannot be eradicated, but it can be brought down to the lowest level. And that lowest level of conflict can be achieved with the help of the team charter. Just like Kennedy said, that when the team charter for the organization for every project is created, you discover that they have little or no conflict. Why? Because there is a team charter that guides everybody in the team. Everybody technically now know what is expected of them. So technically, there will not be any conflict that will bring disciplinary action. Why? Because of the team charter. So which means if I want to reduce conflict in any project I am working on as a project manager, make sure you create a team charter. The team charter becomes the constitution of the team, guiding them as relates to behaviors or acceptable norms, agreement of every member of the team. So please take note, that is very important. Now, let's now assume that we experience conflicts in our project. What are the different conflict resolution techniques? The different conflict resolution technique, we have number one, the collaboration, or which is referred to as a problem solving. This technique is that, take note, this is the best and the most important technique in resolving any conflict in your project. And what is this technique about? This technique is that technique we refer to as the win-win situation. What do we mean? In a collaborative conflict resolution technique, it is not the project manager that resolve the conflict. Rather, the project manager acts as a facilitator by bringing the people involved in the conflict together. So which means, for example, Wale and Kule are having conflict in the work they are been doing or they are performing, and the project manager got to know. It is not the it is not for the project manager to now say, oh Kunle, why now? Why is there conflict? No, the project manager does not interfere. But what the project manager does is to invite Wale and Kunle who have the conflict and mandate them to resolve the conflict within themselves in the presence of the project manager. So the project manager only listen to the difference of opinion of both Wale and Kunle, and also ensure that they lead or come to a resolution of what their difference of opinion is. So it is now the Wale and Kule that will now sit down and say, okay, you know what is the way forward? They themselves will now be the one that resolve the conflict. So take note, resolution of conflict, it is best for the people or the parties involved in the conflict to sit down to resolve the conflict themselves without the project manager's interference. All that the project manager does is to provide facilitation, make it easy for them to sit down together and resolve the conflict. That is the best form of conflict resolution. It is called collaboration. Then number two, we call it compromising. Compromising is a lose-lose situation in that no party gets everything, which means there is a little degree of satisfaction that is derived from both parties. So which means one party has a sound compromise. We are having conflict and the project manager has invited us to look at the solution to that conflict that we are having. Compromising is one person giving way and saying, okay, no wahala, just let's move on. All right, so it is a lose-lose situation. So both parties involved in the conflict don't absolutely get a full satisfaction of what they are trying to resolve or what they are arguing about. Then the third one is the withdrawal or avoidance conflict. The withdrawal or avoidance technique. The withdrawal technique or avoidance technique is that type of conflict resolution technique whereby the decision to resolve a conflict is postponed either by the people involved in the conflict or even by the project manager. Let's say for instance, Wale and Kule have conflict. Instead of them to come together, the project manager have called Wale and Kule is giving reason why he cannot come together with Wale to sit down and resolve that conflict. So Wale keep postponing the opportunity of resolving that conflict. And the danger of that is that it can have a drastic impact or negative impact on productivity of all the deliverables. So when there is a withdrawal of conflict, we are simply saying that instead of us to quickly come down and sit down and resolve that conflict, we decide to postpone it. Excuse me, sir, I don't have time now. When I'm through, I will come. And it keep lingering. Or even the project manager, the team members or the parties involved in the conflict can decide to say, you know what, let's go and meet the project manager to resolve our conflict. And the project manager said, you know what, I'm not available now. I'm having a meeting. Let's say we can talk about it later when I'm done with the meeting. What happened? The project will be pending. Why? Because there is conflict between the team members performing the project. So we have the withdrawal or avoidance method. So the project manager can decide to be postponing the resolution of a conflict. That becomes a conflict resolution style. Then also there's smoothing or accommodating. In this case, both parties involved in the conflict decide to agree rather than in difference of opinion. They decide to say, you know what, let's just agree and come to a resolution and move on. They accommodate each other's idea and just what? Agree and move on. Then the last and the worst form of conflict resolution is forcing. This conflict resolution is not best at all in that one person's idea is forced on the other person. So two persons are having conflict. Wale and Kule are having conflict. The project manager just come and say, you know what, Wale, what is your level of experience in managing project? You just have 5 years experience, and we're talking of somebody that have 15 years experience. Please, let's just do as Kunle have said. What has the project manager done is forcing Kule's idea on Wale's. So automatically, Wale goes out unhappy because he's now being forced by the project manager to work on or carry out the opinion of Kunle. That is what? Forcing or directing. Alright, so these are the 5 different conflict resolution techniques that the project manager can use. But I have told you that the best one is the collaboration technique. Okay, so the collaboration technique is the best conflict resolution technique. Alright, so that is that. Then lastly, we have control resources. What is control resources? Control resources is ensuring that both the physical resources and the human resources allocated for the project are available as planned and are being used as planned. That is control resources. So if we have planned that we need caterpillar, now control resources is that aspect of ensuring that the caterpillar is available and it is being used as planned. So control resources is that aspect of the project where the project manager monitors the use of the resources that was planned for and the actual utilization of that resources. That is what control resources. And who does this? The project manager is in the process of ensuring that both the resources needed, which is either the physical resources, the human resources, or even the material resources that were made available and assigned to different team members are judiciously used or utilized for that project. So we have seen a situation in a construction project where the project manager acquired iron rods. So in the process of time, he now discovered that the iron rod got missing. Or bag of cement. Oh, the team said, oh, we need 20 bag of cement. Now discovered that at the end of the day, they actually make use of 10 and they can't account for the other 10. So control resources is ensuring that all the resources that were assigned to the project team that we plan to have is actually available and they are well utilized. That is what control resources. What do we want to achieve when we are controlling our resources? Is that there is possibility of making changes or having a work performance information that can inform our decision to take action, either to take a corrective action or to take a preventive action. That is what control resources. Yes, sir. Any question for me? Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. Yeah, it depends on your kind of project and the number of team you have. If you don't have resources to employ somebody that will be helping you to monitor, which means you automatically are going to monitor by yourself. It's not okay. Accounted for. It becomes a disaster. That's why sometimes you see that some resources are underutilized. You discover that during planning they make huge plan for all the resources needed, but because of lack of monitoring or control, what happen? Those resources are underutilized, and sometimes some because of thievery, some get missing while on duty. All right. So it now depends on the project manager. Okay. So the project manager can assign this responsibility to a team member, but it now depends on their resources and the kind of project. All right. So like now, as you mentioned, in a construction kind of project where they have more of material resources and physical resources, you could not expect the project manager to be up and down on the utilization of those material resources. So therefore, you will definitely have to assign someone to watch over those material resources. All right, that is a control. And sometimes there's also an approval process. Like for instance, they can have a storehouse of all those resources, and there's a level of approval that you can get depending on the material you are getting you are utilizing at a particular time. So if for instance you want to use 5 bags of cement, there's a level of approval you get. Oh, you want to use 20 bags, there's a level of approval you get. You want to use 50 bags or so. I don't know if you understand. It depends on the kind of project. If for instance you are in a project where you are in a media project, you have the project manager must be in the monitoring of those projects, of those resources. Or you are in an IT project, the project manager must technically be involved in those resources. That is what controlling of your resources. So the project manager keeps monitoring, checking the use of those resources because they were planned for, and you must make sure that the actualization or utilization of those resources are well taken note of. All right. So that is that about controlling of your resources. Any question for me again, sir? Exactly. Uh, uh, well, for for now, I don't know of any software that can be used for controlling resources, but it can be designed. All right. No, nothing that cannot be done in terms of technology. All right. No software, no technicality or whatever software you are thinking of that cannot be created. All right. So we are seeing situation, for instance, like in these control resources, the organization might decide to use a site location for all materials. And you see that they install cameras. And that is why I also told you earlier that there are some organizations that they have a control mechanism where they have different level of approval. If, for instance, you are working, a team member is working on a task and he needs 5 bags of cement, there must be a level of approval that can be provided to get that five bag of cement. Oh, he needs 20 bags of cement. There must be somebody that will account. So some organizations structure it that way for the purpose of accountability. So that when they release 5 bag and is taking note of that 5 bag was released, it should be recorded and somebody sign for it and what it was used for. It becomes accountable. All right. So that is some organization, some level of control of your resources. All right. So, but for software, I don't know. Maybe there may be software they are using abroad, but I don't know of it yet. Is that okay, sir? All right. So, thank you for your time. All right. Hopefully during the week I will share the video on the group for every other person to go through. All right. Thank you and have a blessed week.